Right.
So it's these little things. Darren Hardy has such a great quote that I say all the time. He says, it's the little things you do every day that make the biggest difference. And when you have that validation, confirmation, and awareness that knowing your human design chart can bring you, all of a sudden, it's those little things that just make these big differences. And all the while, you knew that was already to be true, but you just didn't trust yourself because you didn't know why. And when you have that information, then it's like, ah, duh.
Welcome to Out of the Box with Christine. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, Truth Seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blosdale.
Welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I am your host, Christine Blosdale. I am an expert authority business coach, international #1 best-selling author, and someone who's really happy to have my guest on the show today. Because have you ever, folks, have you ever come across somebody maybe on your social media, or maybe you've just seen them out and about and you go, oh, I'm supposed to talk to this person. I'm supposed to know this person. They're supposed to be my friend. Well, this is the exact thing that happened to me when I came across this wonderful lady. Mel McSherry is an international business and life guide. She's also a development coach and public speaker, and she's just really cool. And I like to invite really cool people to the show so that you can get to know these really cool people and then maybe follow them and then find out what they're doing so that they can help you in your life. So welcome to Out of the Box with Christine, Mel. That was a long intro, but welcome.
I love it. I mean, I'm already just tickled pink that I'm here and so excited to get to know you. When you mentioned that you saw something about it, that you just want to get to know me. Those are my favorite types of connections. That's the universe just working as magic. And I always love seeing what progresses from these things.
Well, and as a public speaker, that's gold. That when you have that ability, it's one thing. We've all listened to people speak and reading from cards. And first of all, potential speakers out there, if you're going to be doing a presentation, don't read it. Right? Do you know how to read?
Reminds me of that Friends episode where Ross is doing his first thing, and he looks up and does the awkward look up every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't be a Ross. Don't be a Ross. But so you're expert. I looking at stuff that you've been doing, I also found that you're someone who's really into and utilizing human design. Now, a lot of people out there don't know what human design is. They're probably thinking, what is that? Is that the shape of my body? Is it a new diet? But can you give our audience, give them a little bit of a background on human design, and then tell us what your human design is?
Yeah, absolutely. So human design is a system that is created by combining astrology, Ching or I Ching, Kabbalah, chakras, and quantum physics.
Wow.
And it's coined to the science of differentiation. And what it is, it's your personalized energetic blueprint, or as I like to call it, your operations manual. A lot of us, we, especially those of us who are entrepreneurs, get really focused on our why. Simon Sinek has coined that beautifully, and it's definitely something that's extremely important. But what we tend to get overwhelmed with is the how. And what we don't understand, or for those of us who don't know about human design, is human design tells you the why behind your how. It shows you how you process information, where's the best place and how are the best ways to make decisions. What is your energy like? Is it a ton? Is it not very much? And it gives you this step-by-step manual that just shows you who you are so you can be completely profitable mentally, emotionally, and financially as you create what you want.
I like that. And how do you find out? So there's different, archetypes, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, so there's different types. I like to call human design the ultimate onion of personal development. There are a lot of layers. In fact, the person who brought this forward says it takes about an average of 7 years for you to fully incorporate it. So this isn't just I take a test, I figure it out, and cha-ching. It is, and what I love about it, it is a process that grows and moves with you. So there are a lot of bits and bobs inside the chart, but probably the main ones that people have been hearing a bit more about, especially on platforms like Instagram, is your type. So there's 5 different types, as well as one is talked about a lot is your profile. You might see a lot of people with numbers going like, oh, I'm a 6'2" or I'm a 5'1". And those are main characteristics of yourself as this type. So for me, I'm what's called a projector. Projector is about 15% to 18% of the population. There's not very many of us. And we are the guides. We have very low energy, actually, unless we are with people. And then we absorb their energy and ta-da. And we are meant to wait to be invited into spaces. That is our strategy. So each type comes with its own strategy. Yeah.
Wait to be asked out.
Right. Which, as an entrepreneur,
that's frustrating.
Holy man. That took bits to wrap my head around. Actually, spoiler alert, in human design and in human design in general, there is only one type that is meant to initiate, and that type is only 5% of the population. Most of us, our strategy is some sort of wait to respond, wait to invite. For reflectors who are 1% of the population, they have to wait 28 days, a complete cycle before they make a decision.
So who are the ones that the little action bots that take that?
So the manifestors are the ones that initiate. Okay. So pure manifestors. And that's not, that term manifesting has become very, I'm just going to say watered down. Yeah. As we've been progressing in social media. And it's been very coined as, oh, anybody can manifest. And I'm not saying that not everyone can manifest. What I'm saying is that there is a specific type that is here to initiate conversations, opportunities, ideas, and the rest of us wait for that information to then proceed to what's best for us.
So how do you find out what you are? Book a session with you.
And that's the episode.
And that's it. We're done. Yeah.
We're done. Sweet. In the show notes. To receive the information, there's a lot of great free sites. And all you need to know is your your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location.
Easy.
Now, for my friends, However, for my friends who are in Canada who have a bit more of a difficult time finding their birth time on their birth certificates, there's a couple other ways that you can find as well. You could do like sunrise, sunset, this, that, the other. But for the rest of us who have that information, all you do is put that in and it gives you this immaculate and overwhelming, I will be honest, information about you. And that's what helped me really feel called to utilize this, especially in business development. Because we get so overwhelmed with everything that we think we need to do, all these shoulds, all these have tos, all these bleh, and we don't trust ourselves enough. We're never taught to go inward, when in fact, everything inside of you to answer the call of your soul is inside of you. We just don't know how to find it because we are taught to find the expert, find the formula, find somebody who did it before and copy and paste them. And though that's not necessarily bad feedback or bad information, it's a little bit disjointed because who this person is, who created what they created, you are not that. So therefore, not everything that they do is going to work verbatim for yourself. And when we try to do that, I know for a lot of us, myself included, you start to feel stupid. You start to feel like, well, why isn't this working for me? Like, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? Nothing. You just don't know how you're programmed to create what you want. And when you understand that within your human design, then you can take those pieces of feedback, of information, of what have you, and either know either how to customize it to who you are, take the bits and bobs and utilize it and bless and release the rest, or know full stop, this is not for you. And it just helps you understand your best resources, your most profitable avenues. And again, really encapsulate that why behind your how.
And then that way too, you can focus on what works. Because as
Exactly.
solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, we are notorious for throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
spinning so many plates that we become exhausted. We don't even know what it is that we originally wanted to do, because we get
Right.
bogged down with, my website, my social media. What about Instagram? What about TikTok? What about LinkedIn? What about and
group offers, individual offers, master classes, retreats,
courses? I need to create a course.
well, yeah, ebook.
I've had clients who are like, okay, I need to create a course. And I'm like, well, what is it that you want to offer? What is it that you're offering?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I really haven't thought about that. I'm like, no,
People
you
just
need
keep
to
telling me
know
I need
that.
to have a course. Yeah, exactly.
You really need to be specific on that.
Yeah.
And I think so. I love the idea and I'm so glad that you're on the show today to remind me of this really great tool of human design, so that because I find in myself too, but I see it daily with coaching my clients. The comparison model, comparing yourself to someone else, is the surest way to just kill any joy that you're going to have with your business.
Absolutely.
Because you're not, you are not everybody else. You're not that person. And with women particularly, because my client, 99.9% of my clients are women, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, women in business. And with women too, there's not only is that comparison model, but it's also the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome doesn't happen so much with men. And I don't know if that's because the way we were raised. I don't know.
It's honestly in our DNA. It's our environment. It's the way that we've been trained. It's the way that it's inside of our DNA, especially for those who are assigned female at birth, to be able to see things deeper, more emotionally, and not be able to separate and compartmentalize as deeply as our male counterparts, for sure.
And so when you've got those really, it's not a steady ship. It's not on solid ground. If you're not on solid ground and know like that what you're passionate about, that you're good at it and you're unique, then it's really going to be hard, because that's an energy, right? That shaky, wobbly, I don't know if I can do it, and I don't know if I'm qualified enough, and who's going to listen to me, and I'm too old, and I'm too this, and I'm too that. That shaky ground is an energy, and any potential clients or customers, anybody that you really want to reach, an audience, they're going to smell it, and they're going to run. Let alone they're not going to cut you a check, right?
Yeah. And it's that, and so it's that constant cycle of, well, I need to do this in order to create that. And then I try this. And I've been an entrepreneur since 2010. So it's been a hot minute, and I've been through all the ideations, all the different premises, all of the things. And it wasn't until human design found me in 2020, right before lockdown here in Chicago, I sobbed, because on paper, was very successful. I was speaking internationally. I was traveling all the time. I was making great money. But mentally and emotionally, I constantly felt like this was the day I was going to be found out. I still couldn't understand why the things my mentors asking me to do felt so wrong. And yet this is what I was told to do in order to create what I want. And then when I read my human design chart, I sobbed, because I felt, because there was my vernacular. There was the why behind my how. And I was able then to stand a little bit more sure-footed, even after that first reading, and go, okay, this is now what I know to be true. So this needs to leave. This needs to change. And all of a sudden, did it take some time? Absolutely. Because I went from initiate, follow up, go for the ask, all of the things that we are constantly taught to do, to wait to be invited, share. utilize the fact that I have quote unquote lower energy, protect my time and energy when I'm around others, because I'll forget that I burn out when I'm around others too much.
Right.
So it's these little things. Darren Hardy has such a great quote that I say all the time. He says, it's the little things you do every day that make the biggest difference. And when you have that validation, confirmation, and awareness that knowing your human design chart can bring you, all of a sudden it's those little things that just make these big differences. And all the while, you knew that was already to be true, but you just didn't trust yourself because you didn't know why. And when you have that information, then it's like, duh. Like my favorite thing about having readings is when my clients just take this deep breath of just like, oh, thank you. Like, I'm not crazy. I can build my business this way. I wasn't silly for wanting to do XYZ. No, because we all naturally live inside our design. What we do is we just don't know our stopping and starting points. We take it too far or we go too way out of where we are energetically profitable.
That going too far out too is something, again, we spoke about that a little bit earlier, going in so many directions, becoming overwhelmed. I call it well, it's like a coursitis. Coursitis. There's been a few clients that I've worked with where the poor dears are just exhausted because they're like, well, I'm taking this course and then I've got another course happening and then, and I'm going to this workshop and I'm thinking, when are you also crafting, honing in on your craft? When are you developing and really zhuzhing up what it is that you do, right?
Yeah.
And even if you do it for free, even if you're a speaker and you want to be paid, a lot of times when you first start out, you're not going to get paid. And even when you've been doing it for a while, you're not going to get paid. But that's your moment to connect with people and to focus on those skills, because it is a skill set. And so speak, do volunteer to be the MC at some, local charity event, do Toastmasters, whatever it is, because then also you're going to get rid of, or at least start knocking down those imposter syndrome feelings and I'm not good enough and all those different things. Like I said, I was telling people, you know what? Are there other business coaches out there? Yes. Are there other media coaches out there? Are there other podcast coaches out there? Yes. But there's nobody that's me. And it's the same thing with you, Mel.
Exactly.
There's no one that's you. There's no one with your experience, your expertise, your life experience. There's nobody.
Absolutely.
And that's as when it comes to your brand, when you're doing your business, when it comes to branding and to letting people know who you are. I always tell people, stick to the trueness of who you are. If you're quirky, show it. If you're a freak, show it. Right? Because there is an audience for you. There is going to be someone that's for you. The cookie cutter trying to be like everybody else, Kardashian type thing is not. It doesn't work anymore at all.
No, and it will continue to not work because we're moving into a new paradigm. Not to get to, woo-woo.
No, you can get woo-woo. You can get unicorny woo-woo.
All right. Because in 2027, we're having a major shift. So in human design, it's called the solar plexus mutation. And what it means is that in 2027, we are going to go back to the more quote unquote feminine ways of life.
Yay.
It's going to come back to, I know, right? Communication, collaboration, being an individual inside of the collective and stepping away from all of the more masculine structural things that we needed to survive as humans. However, we have now gone way too far. And the universe is naturally pulling us back and going, okay, now that we've kind of destroyed a lot of stuff, let's rebuild it a little bit more cohesively. And so we were going to see more and more, especially as we move closer to 2027. And we're already seeing it now after, events of 2020, that old shit doesn't stick. No. It really is honoring, to your point, who you are and embracing who you are. Because there are a gazillion human design facilitators. And I love that. I love that each of us bring a different element, a different pizzazz, a different whatever to human design. And we each attract different types of people. And that's the whole point of that. When you do connect to your, the science of your differentiation and how profitable that differentiation is, it can be a little overwhelming because now all of a sudden you're like, well, shit, like I can try anything. And so you're like, well, yes, and you can try anything that just pulls your heart or pulls your soul, that just feels good to you. But what you can't do, to your point, is keep trying. Like every type, every human has a stopping point, has a break to where we need to reevaluate. And again, having understanding of these different elements, your chart, you're talking about people who like to take courses. Those might be in their profile an investigator, which is a big part of their personality. But looking at that with the other elements of their design, you can see how you can utilize that without being a quote unquote procrastinator.
Right.
I don't really think procrastination exists. That's a whole nother conversation. But it can lead to that because you're starting to disassociate, you're starting to overthink. And when you have someone, and this is one of the things I love to do with my clients, have a space where you can go, can I do this? And I look at your chart, and you look at your chart, and we both go, yeah, you can. And this is how you can do it. And this is how you can make sure how you do it keeps you energetic, keeps you mentally and emotionally and financially profitable, and also gives you the reminders that it's not going to last forever and what to do when that stopping point comes or when that reevaluation point comes. So it helps you ebb and flow throughout this really crazy journey that is life and entrepreneurship with a manual that tells you how to do it every step of the way.
I love what you were saying too, a bit, that we're coming into, because I think people feel that there's a lot of nervousness, right? There's because people don't know what's going to happen, right? Because they don't know what's going to happen politically, don't know what's going to happen in the Middle East, don't know what has. But for some reason, there is this feeling like something is growing, is being birthed, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, we're in a major transition.
We are in a major transition, and we've already become from such a, I just think I'm non-binary, gender fluid, right? And 5 years ago, 10 years, I'm 60 this year. And when I was growing up, there was no gay and lesbian icons. We thought that maybe Liberace was gay, but then we were told he wasn't. And we were like, what?
Right. What?
No. But there were none. There was no, Ellen. There was nothing.
Yeah.
If you were thought to be gay or anything like that, it was like the worst thing in the world. And then as we've progressed, and then now we're in a place too where even on, if you're going for a job application, it says male, female, transgender, or non-binary, and it's like, wow, we've really changed. And so I can see in just a couple years too, how we're openly allowing people to be who they are, whatever rocks your boat. If you being this makes you happy, and then that ripple effect of making others happy, and you're touching other people's lives by making them happy, what a great thing. We do need to shift right now. We do. We need to shift.
Absolutely. Because there's more and more of us that we're understanding how much we never fit inside of that mold, no matter how hard we tried. And I tried for the longest time, to make sure I looked like a woman business owner or a woman speaker. And to your point is, I'm 40, I'm in my early 40s, mid 40s. And in my late 30s, I came across the term non-binary female. And I'm like, what? I like this. What is this? And all of a sudden I knew that there was more boxes, quote unquote, that I identified as. And it was such a big eye opener of, well, no, there it is. Again, it's that vernacular. It's that when you see it, and when, whether you hear it from somebody else, like somebody else introduces themselves, or so on and so forth, or even just conversations like this, having such an open, beautiful conversation in such a safe space, to be like, oh, so there are other things. There's other options. There's other words. And
there's other boxes.
Again, and with human design, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, so that there it is. And just even in that, to have so much more trust in who you are and how you are able to create what you want. And then, there's a lot of other layers that we could go into that would just make this like 2 hours long.
Well, we're going to have you back.
But yeah, okay, that's perfect. We'll just do that instead. So, cliffhanger. But I will say this. Everything that you feel, everything that you know to be true is yours and is true. If you cannot find the resources or the support or the quote unquote correct avenue for you to create it, express it, what have you, create your own if you feel called, and or utilize what you have already created. What plants have you already planted? What spaces are you already a part of that you can just start expanding, grow where you are planted, and know that trusting just who you are, whether you know you're human design or not. And if you would like to know it, brill. And if not, beautiful. But do know that you already are living inside of your design. Trust those pings, trust those feelings. I'm not going to say trust your gut because not everybody is designed to trust their gut. But you know how it feels when it's just not right. There's a difference between uncomfortable because it's new and just downright.
Yeah.
Trust that. Like you really do have everything inside of you to answer the call of your soul. It's just taking time to find it.
And if people want to learn more about human design and find out what their type is, I'm going to throw out your website so that they can contact you.
Beautiful.
And
yes, please.
And speak with you in person, because this is awesome. Folks, if you are interested in checking out the great work that my guest today, Mel McSherry, has been doing, you can go to her website. It's melmcsherry.com. Don't worry about the spelling because it'll be in the show notes. You can just click on that link. And I just want to say thank you so much, Mel, for being with me today and sharing your wonderful wisdom with my audience. And you're a Chicagoan, yes?
I am.
That's why you're cool. I love Chicago people. They're friendly, even though it's really cold there sometimes and it's windy and it's crazy.
We're just weeding out the weak ones.
Chicago is is a cool city too, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Clean. Well, the areas that I was in was very clean. I don't know about all of Chicago, but yeah.
It's pretty big. And I'm in the actual city proper. So I could say my neighborhood of Andersonville is gorgeous.
Yeah. No, it's a great city. But thank you again. I really appreciate it. And you're welcome back anytime. And thank you, wonderful listeners and viewers. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello. You can actually see my guest. And if you're listening to this on all the great platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, then make sure you share the show. If you got something out of it, if you think someone that you care about could get really something out of it, share it. Don't be so stingy. Don't be so stingy and creepy. Share it with others. If you want more information, of course, about my coaching, you can go to christineblosdale.com, and it's got a list for all of the recent episodes as well of the podcast. So if you missed anything, you can check it out there. And as I always say, and this is so appropriate for this topic today, don't forget to think outside that damn box. Remember, you don't have to be in a box. You can be outside that box. You can be in a bunch of boxes, right? All right. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.